Good morning, everyone. This Shabbat is very, very special. First of all, we read two Torah portions, Vayakel and Pekudei. Second of all, we conclude the second book of the Torah, which means we're all going to rise to our feet in congregations around the world and chant out Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek. Let us be strong and continue the study of Torah. And finally, we read a special reading in honor of Rosh Chodesh, which is HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. This month shall be for you a new month. Now here's something fascinating that I believe only exists in Judaism, and that is we have not one New Year on the Jewish calendar, but we actually have two separate New Years on the Jewish calendar. Why do we have two separate Jewish New Years? The first one, of course, is Rosh Hashanah, the creation of the world. But Rosh Chodesh Nisan, which is the first commandment we're going to read about in the synagogue, that God gave the Jews the commandment to count the months according to the lunar calendar, is the second Rosh Hashanah. It's the second New Year. 6 months after the first New Year, we have a second New Year. And why do we need a second New Year? And the answer is that there's two parts to life. There's existence, and then there's living. The fact that God created you and created the world means you exist. Rosh Hashanah is the New Year for existence. That's when Adam and Eve were created. Mankind was created. But as it's famously said, you are born twice. The day you were born and the day you figure out why you were born. What is the purpose of your existence? That is what we call living, life. Someone says to someone else, go get a life. What do you mean go get a life? I'm alive already. What they mean is you exist, but what is your life? Go get a life, go get a mission, go get a purpose. If you don't know why you're living, then you're just existing. And therefore we have two Rosh Hashanahs, one for the New Year, when we were born, created, existence, and Rosh Hashanah of Nisan is when we became a Jewish nation, and we received the Torah when we left Egypt, and then we discovered our mission, our purpose for what we exist for, which is to live, to fulfill our purpose in this world. And actually, you know which one is more important? What's more important is living, because many times people will sacrifice parts or their entire existence for their purpose, for their mission. And that is because we all know that it's not about existing, it's about living. And therefore we're willing to give up some of our comfort, some of our existence for the sake of a more meaningful and a deeper living, which is having a purpose. Existing means that you have needs, because you live in this world and you have many, many needs. You have to eat, you have to drink, you have to sleep, you have to have money, you need so many things to exist. That's what you need. Rosh Chodesh Nisan is when we get the Torah and we learn not what we need as created beings, but what we're needed for by God in this world. What is our purpose? And no one wants to be needy. Everyone wants to be needed. That's what makes you really happy in life. What makes you happy is not that you exist and have needs, but that you were created for a purpose, which is revealed in the Torah, and therefore you are needed by God Himself. And the more we focus on what we're needed for, rather than what we need, the happier we become. So this Shabbat we will begin to welcome the second New Year, which is 6 months after the first New Year, when we realize and learn and discover our mission and our purpose in this world, why God placed us here. The famous composer, conductor, musician Arturo Toscanini, who lived at the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th century, was once called by a reporter, wanted to interview him. He said, I can't be interviewed tonight because I'm listening to a live concert on the radio. And so the reporter said, I'll come and sit by your side. I won't interfere in your listening. I want to sit and observe you listening to a concert. When he said fine, he came to his house, the reporter. They sat through the concert. He listened with great intensity. He was known for his intensity and his perfection, listening so carefully to the music. And when the concert was over, the reporter said to Arturo Toscanini, what did you think about the concert? And he said, well, the symphony, that particular piece, was supposed to be played with 14 violins. And I only heard 13 violins. And the reporter didn't know if he should start laughing. He didn't want to embarrass him. He was like, how could this be that you know the difference between 13 and 14 violins? So he made a note of it. The next day he went and researched and spoke to the performers, and he said, tell me, that piece, how many violins is it supposed to be played with? And they said, well, that piece is supposed to be played with 14 violins, but one of the violinists called in sick that day, and we had to play it with 13 violins. Yes, sometimes we think, what is my music in this world? What am I adding? What am I contributing? Does God really need me? And maybe we can't hear the difference when one violin isn't playing. But to the ears of the conductor of the whole world, the composer of all the music of life, the creator of the whole universe, when one person's music is not playing, God hears it and says there's a void in the world. So Rosh Hashanah is when we were created. But when God created us, God said, I created you because the world can't exist without you. I need you. And therefore, on this Shabbat, we begin to focus on Passover and the day that we were liberated and given the Torah and taught why we're needed, what our purpose and our mission is in this world, and what our particular notes in the symphony of life are that we and each and every one of us needs to play. A wonderful day and a